Hi, I'm Claire from the Yoga Chapel. This is Joni from the Yoga Chapel. And today we're learning Dandasana. So we're going to do our little warm-up first. We're going to start seated just to come into the room. So moving the flesh of the bum back, finding those sit bones, those bony parts of your bum, and kind of shaking yourself into the floor. And then just drop out of everything. Inhale your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, sigh out. Inhale. And one more. Just spend another 30 seconds in stillness. Finding that breath in and out through the nose. Letting your body know that you're about to practice. You're taking this time for yourself. Slowly open the eyes. Drop your hands beside you, palms facing up. Inhale your arms up, look up. Exhale, hands to the center of the chest. Drop the hands down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to the center of the chest. Leaving there at the center, pushing the hands together, straighten the spine, connecting to those sit bones. Thumbs pushing into the sternum or the chest. Jaws in line with the floor and closing the eyes. Drop your hands to your knees. Pulling your hands forward, chest forward, inhale. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Inhale up. Exhale, forward. One more round of that cat-cow, seated. Really pushing chest forward. Exhale, really engaging that spine back, dropping the head heavy. Back up to neutral and just sway from side to side. We're going to do our belly rolls again like we did in the last class. We're going to inhale ourselves forward. Exhale back. 2 more times. Back up to center, sway from side to side. Now let's do 3 ways to the left. Lisa loves this pose. She does it in all her classes. We miss her classes so much. Back through center and sway from side to side. Bring your right hand onto the floor. Lift your left arm up. And let's just bend towards the right. Coming to wherever you feel comfortable. And then inhale straight, bringing both arms up. Drop your left hand down and then bend to the left. And let's work with breath. Inhale our arms up. Exhale, drop our right hand. Exhale, drop to the right. Inhale up. Exhale, drop. One more on your own time. Back up through center. Let's meet on our back body. Coming in, bring our knees towards our chest. We're just going to do a little rock and roll. from side to side. You can either bring your hands around your shins or behind your legs, dropping your calves onto your hands. That always feels nice. And really paying attention to that back body, that spine on the floor. And every time you may be rocking into a circle, bring those knees around. You can feel the spine lifting off the mat and then pressing deeply into the mat and then back up. So just try that a couple times, making circles with your legs. And if you're going one way, go in the opposite direction. Back through neutral. Keeping your right knee in towards your chest. Lengthen your left leg down and out. Dropping your heel towards the floor. Oh, sorry. Now let's work through that hip. Just rotating around the right hip. And then the opposite way. And bring your hands behind your hamstring, lengthening your right leg, pushing that heel towards the sky, pushing that left heel into the ground, flexing the toes towards the shins, keeping the back straight onto the floor, shoulders onto the floor if you can. Slowly release your hands, bringing that right knee back and towards your chest, your left knee towards your chest, and rocking from side to side. Keeping your left knee in towards your chest, lengthening your right leg down. Moving through the hip on the left side, maybe rotating one way, and then the opposite way. Bring your hands behind your hamstring on your left side. Lengthen the left leg, pushing that heel towards the ceiling. Pushing the right heel into the ground. And maintaining that lower back to the floor. Pulling that left knee back and towards your chest. And then your right, rocking one more time. This time we're going to bring our fingertips towards the floor and lengthen both legs up towards the ceiling. So this is Danasana on our back. So just pushing those heels towards the ceiling, toes coming towards our shin, back straight against the floor. Chin parallel to your body, pushing through your fingertips. Let's stay here for 3 long breaths, really feeling that breath all the way into the bottom of your lungs and your belly. Bending your knees, planting your feet onto the floor, and then just windshield washing your legs to the left and to the right. Rolling to either side into that fetal position for a pause. And then whenever you're ready, slowly coming to a seated position. So that we can join Joan for practice.
Thanks, Claire, for that warm up for our legs. We're going to come right into the basic floor series, stretching out your legs. So from here, you're going to pull the flesh of the bum back behind you. Instead of out to the sides, kind of really want to focus on the sit bones. And the sit bones are those bony parts of the bum that you can kind of feel into the floor. Allows the pelvis to kind of rock to neutral. Working Dandasana. So yesterday we worked Tadasana when we were standing in mountain position, shoulders stacked over hips. Dandasana, Sanskrit, is for staff or rod pose. And you can kind of see it when I sit on the side. It's a 90-degree angle at the hip. Both my legs and my spine is kind of long and straight, similar to when you can see Claire. She's trying to stack the shoulders over the hips, similar if she was in like a standing position. Now, saying that, a lot of us have really tight hamstrings, from sitting on chairs and having desk jobs, which is kind of hard on the back.
All of us right now?
Yeah, all of us in COVID times, where our hamstrings are shortened. So to allow them to lengthen might be really painful. So you can always keep the knees bent, but focus on the shoulders stacking over the hips. Try to keep that neutral spine. So not a proud chest, not a slumped chest, but shoulders stacked. We're going to anchor through the heels and flex the toes. Flexing the toes meaning pulling the toes towards the shins. Pointing the toes would pull the front of the foot flat. So we're going to keep the toes flexed. We're going to spread the toes wide. So it gives us something to think about, come back to, push the heels down. So for Claire, with her legs longer, so the hamstrings lengthening, she's going to pull the heels away from her hips. She's going to drop the hands beside the body and tempt the fingertips. Shoulders going to stay stacked over her hips, shoulders down and back. Same things apply, just like to Tadasana, mountain position. We want that string coming up out of her head, and there's a lengthening and activation of the body. So showing from the other side, slightly bent knees, still flex, still spread through the toes. You're going to bring the fingertips beside the body. Now, based on the anatomy of your body, fingertips are either tented or you're going to plant the hands. So I'm able to plant my hands and not change the curvature of my back. That's the key. So find a position you can maintain. Slightly tips of the shoulder blades squeezing together. Drive the heels down, push through the sit bones, closing the eyes and finding your breath. So there's a lot of activation. We're allowing the belly to expand and contract. Come into that ujjayi or that yogic breath. Keep spreading the toes wide, pushing through the hands, shoulders down into the back, chin in line with the jaw. Good. And let's slowly release. Allow the body to kind of slump forward. If you need to bounce out the legs, bounce out the legs. And we'll slowly take the legs a little further apart. Again, if you've shifted through the bum and you want to pull the flesh of the bum back, pull it back. So wide-legged, kind of working into a wide-legged forward fold. Works the legs, but also powers into the low back and the core. We're having to hold the body upright. So we're showing you from the side profile, my legs are a little wider. Basic foundation of Dandasana, the staff pose, shoulders stacked. I'm allowing my foot to flex. I'm not losing the activation in the legs. This is kind of where we lose it. We get a little, not lazy. Yeah, let's call it lazy in our legs, right? We want to stay active in our legs. We're pushing down through the heels. We're allowing the back of the hamstrings to find the ground. Fingertips can tent beside us to keep the back long. And we pull the heels away from the hips. So not locking out the knees. Remember, always a soft knee is available for you, especially if the extension is just too painful at the moment. Don't push into it. We want to find the erect spine, softening through the chest, flexing and spreading the toes, and finding your breath. Let's do one more deep breath in, either in through the nose or in through the mouth. Exhale, fully belly towards spine the best you can. Empty the lungs. Good. Let's now relax the legs. So let them fall in. You can even round through the spine to let the head go. Might feel a little natural for your body. Good, and then slowly come all the way up. Coming into our third position, let's pull the heel as close to the inside seam of the left leg. Now, the heel is either as close towards the groin as you can manage, or as far as the body can. Remember, you can rest the knee on a block, or let me get a block. So you can rest the block right underneath the knee. So Claire's knee is slightly lifted, probably something to do with her hip, and her hip not allowing that muscle or that leg to drop down. This is a perfect position for her. She can still activate through the legs. She can still maintain the posture of the pose, but not put extra strain. She's bringing the floor up to her. So let's do it again. Same action. We want to activate the leg, push through the back of the heel and the back of the thigh. Pull the heel away from the hip, spread the toes wide, dropping the hands gently on top of the thighs and on top of that knee. Shoulders stacked, belly in, 2 long breaths. Good. Drop the fingertips down. Let's switch sides. So allow the right leg to come out, the left heel to come as close towards the groin as you can manage, allowing that left knee to roll down towards the floor. Use a block if necessary. 2 books is also perfect. Let's allow the hands to rest. Let's just drop in. Remember, we're trying to build a sequence from Tadasana yesterday, shoulders stacked. Notice if you need to pull into pigeon or proud chest and slump chest to find neutral. Same with the legs, they're extending from the heel to the hip. You're activating through the quad by flexing the foot. And then noticing the breath just move deeply within the body to expansion. Exhale to completion or empty. Drop the fingertips down. This time pull both of the soles of the feet together. And we'll start in a diamond shape because this is where I can leave you. You don't have to come into full cobbler's position or butterfly position. Baddha Konasana. Baddha Konasana, that is what it's called. So diamond shape is showing you from a different angle. My heel's a little further away from my groin or from my body. You're going to move to where you feel comfortable, either coming into a forward fold, allowing the arms to rest onto the knee. My spine is going to round slightly, right? We can make it a little bit more intense, keeping the spine long, chin pulling forward. But in this version, we want to allow the body to start to release forward to the floor. You can rest even through the thighs. You can even rest through the fingertips, dropping the head. And 2 breaths, 3 breaths are kind of perfect for this kind of warm up. Basically starting to notice the shape in the body. And slowly lift the head, come out of that forward fold. Now moving a little bit deeper into butterfly position, pull the heel as close towards the groin as you can. You can use the hands to interlock around the toes to lock it in. Now the key with this position is actually smushing the feet together, like you're trying to sandwich something between the feet. And you can use the hands, roll the shoulders down and back. Now as you squeeze the feet together, you're going to also squeeze the bum together. So now you're activating inside kind of the pelvis inseam of the legs. This is going to help pull the knees away from the hips and then down towards the floor. You never have to touch the floor, but this pose isn't necessarily not active. It's a pretty active position. The more I push my feet together, like I want to sandwich something between them, I'm going to squeeze my bum a little bit more, roll the shoulders down back, try to maintain that long neutral spine. Then I'm going to pull my knees out. So I imagine them moving away from my body and then slowly down towards the floor. So we use action so that we can find the rolling out of the thigh and the dropping down of the knee. The more Claire squeezes in diamond shape, she can still find that contraction. She can still move the knees out towards me and then start to drop the knees down a little bit lower towards the ground. okay? Move to your capacity for sure. Don't overdo it. You need to grab the ankles to do so to keep the spine long. Let's take one more breath in and one long breath out. Okay, let's gently release if you were in Baddha Konasana with the heels closed. Move back to diamond shape to knee together. Use the hands around the legs to close off the legs and just bounce off that first sequence. We're going to come back to our second position, taking the legs wide, pulling the right heel into closest to the leg as you can, or as close to the groin as you can. Now with the pelvis facing forward, we're going to twist the ribs, the chest to face the left leg. Let's drop the fingertips down. Yeah, perfect. So the same action, you want to start to think that the knee is pulling away from the hip. You're lengthening through the legs, so it's still active. You're not letting that foot be droopy, right? It's active, like you're pushing against a block or my hand. Spread the toes wide so it keeps you awake in the foot. And instead of slumping forward, so we're not kind of, we're not slumping or shrugging forward, and we're not proud chesting either. We want a neutral spine. So it feels like we're pulling the hips back and the chest forward. Now it's an intense hamstring calf stretch. So be aware of where your limitations or where your variations lie. Bend the knees as much as you need. It might feel really nice. Remember, when we work to the capacity of what we can work, we're going to get all the benefits of yoga. So this is just where you are, and maybe this is where you are based on anatomy. As long as you're flexing the foot and pushing through the heel and powering through the pose, you're being mindful for the position. Good. Let's take one long breath in. Even longer breath out. And let that round. So release the spine, slowly come all the way up. You can use your hands to switch that side. Pull the left heel in. Allow that left knee to drop out or use a block. Twist from the ribs and from the chest to face the right leg. Activate the right leg, flex through the toes, and drop the fingertips down. You might notice one side has almost like limits you, like you hit a wall right away. And I want you to really kind of gauge where you're at and use your edges. So if I notice my edge here, I start to round my spine, I'm going to come back up to where I notice my spine stays long from shoulder to hip. Let's take one more long breath together. Exhale fully. And then let the leg relax, let the body relax. Slowly climb back up. And let's come forward. Let's come into bear position. Bear position, your legs are wide, right? So it's still very similar to Dandasana. Everything's kind of a build up onto that pose. We're just taking our legs in different planes. So I'm keeping the toe mounds down, the feet wide, using the inside of my arms to gently push past my range of motion of my legs. The key here is as I glide my arms off, I'm going to try not to let the legs spring back to where it's comfortable. I want to keep it where I was able to manage my range of motion. So Claire's going to gently sweep her arms up, both of them, and not lose her legs. So now it's a very active kind of force out into that range of motion. If I pull my heels forward and I start to drop my knees to the right, I'm going to fall into what we call 90-90 position, 90-degree angles at the knees. Drop the fingertips down. You're going to lift the back leg, easier said than done, and pull that heel towards your bum. Without really borrowing from the body, let's lift the right foot or use the left hand to pull the right heel in towards you. Drop the left hip down as best you can into deer position. At the Yoga Chapel, we do a lot of deer, which is a high flexation of the knee. So just be aware of where your pose is. Let's take a breath here. And exhale fully. And inhale, breath. And exhale, breath. Let's slowly move back out of it. So we have to come back to 90-90 first. So lift the right foot, pull it back to that 90-degree angle. Lean forward to help lift the back foot and pull it back to 90. We'll get there in time. Slowly come back into your bear position. So it's a roll through the pelvis back to the sit bones. Push past your range of motion with the toe mounds down. Nice. And then slowly release the arms without springing the legs back in. Slowly move mindfully towards the left. So we notice our body and what the difference is on one side to the other. Tent the fingertips. The more you lean forward, it's easier to pick up the back foot and pull the heel towards your bum and sit back. Now, if you can lift the left foot, amazing. Draw it towards you or pick it up and pull it towards the body. Try to keep the shoulders stacked. Right hand onto the right hip, and let's fall into deer position. If the right hip doesn't touch the floor, don't you worry. Eventually, you're going to start to open up the legs more and more, and this pose will feel kind of really comfortable and soothing for the hips and the hamstrings. So we're just trying to awaken the pose. Remember, it's a kind of nice, gentle movement of the body. Yeah, let's move back to 90-90. We'll start with the front shin, lift up the front heel, move it forward. Good. Lean forward, tent the fingertips, lift the back leg, pull the right heel in line with the knee in line with the hip, 90-90. Slowly move back into your bear position, using your arms as that pull range of motion, shoulders down and back. Good. And let's close up the legs, come into that seated position, roll out the bum, and allow the hands to come towards the center line of the chest to bow gently.
Slowly drop your hands down, either palms facing up or palms facing on top of your knees. Grounding into your sit bones, keeping the spine straight. And as we focus on the staff pose, keeping that spine straight, head erect, that brings in confidence, clarity, stability. When we think about our spine, and our spine shows us our vitality of life, how we move, how we incorporate through the rest of the day. And just like each class is going to be segmented together, just like the spine, moving from one pose into the next, creating this linear pattern moving forward, each a different building block to the next. And knowing that each little step, piano, piano, takes you to a higher goal. And incorporating each pose into this ripple effect into your body, letting it touch your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual places, letting it develop and cascade into the rest of your life. Let's just take the next minute to let today's practice radiate through us. Breathing deeply, following that breath up and down the spine. Turning the corners of the lips up, smiling to yourself. Being proud of each accomplishment. Bring your left hand onto your heart and your right on top of your left.